one for the type of people who want to do the little things that are necessary to cut through the garbage from DC and the stuff from Wall Street and what affects people just like us on Main Street. Thanks for joining me today. And today's episode, we've got a couple things here to talk about, and I think you'll find these all very interesting. Of course, I'm shooting from the front porch here, and it is one of my favorite places to shoot from because, once again, weather permitting, it's a great place to be. Number two, the weather is permitting. And finally, I'm out here kind of enjoying a little bit of sunlight while I'm able to engage my audience with the things I love to do. So welcome once again to the Economic Report. You make today awesome. So, hey, we can go ahead and talk about a few things here. And by the way, I can share this with you. I went ahead and grabbed a handful of peanuts. Now you might say, what on earth are you doing with these peanuts, Brian? And I'm like, hey, you know, what's happened over the course of the summer is we feed the birds, and what's been showing up, well, these squirrels. And of course, I've been trying to feed the squirrels something a little bit different than what the birds are eating. So we actually have some squirrels here. I can actually include a little bit of footage in one of my next long form videos if you are subscribed. Once again, this is the kind of stuff that only subscribers get, but I will have an episode of me, yes, actually feeding a squirrel. They've been coming up eating out of my hands, and of course the one that we like the best will actually grab the peanut with its hands and stick it right into his mouth and run off. So that's why we have these peanuts, just in case they show up during this episode, crazy as it may sound. But anyway, thanks for joining me today. And of course, you make this episode special every time you're here. And so we can go ahead and get started. And of course, the first item of business we're speaking about is Ethereum, right? Because Ethereum has been on quite a tear. I mean, doing really like super well. And a story came out the other day, Tom Lee, who is the expert on crypto, made a case for Ethereum actually overtaking Bitcoin. Now, Ethereum right now trading at $4,376 and some odd cents. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is probably the household name that everybody knows. And of course, we're talking that is trading, right around 110 right now. I'll do a quick check on that while we're here. But I will tell you that these cryptos are not for the faint of heart. Hey, welcome to the Economic Report. Drop a comment below. Make sure you liked and subscribed, and we can go ahead and check this out. So we know, like, for sure that Ethereum is down like 9% today, which is a pretty big chunk of change. You wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of that trade. That would be absolutely terrible. Hey, welcome to the Economic Report, folks. Go ahead, drop a comment and a question in chat if you would like. Make sure you're liked and subscribed. I already told a story earlier today about why a guy like me has these peanuts out here. You're not going to want to miss that part of the story. Of course, this replay will be. Hi, Ainsley. Good to see you here. Welcome to the Economic Report. Tommy, welcome to the Economic Report as well. You are awesome. And guess what? I do shout outs to anybody who subscribes during the show today, because that really helps the channel out a ton, and it doesn't cost you a cent. And if you like or you find some entertainment here, well, that helps out a ton as well. So Bitcoin, good night. This is getting clobbered. It's down to $110,000 per coin, and it's off its highs of about 125,000 at one point in time. So we're talking down about 15,000 bucks. Now, this could be just what you call a correction. Other people might say, well, it's more than a correction. It might be the signs of a consolidation. Okay, and there's another group of people who say, I just don't want to be handling this stuff because you could lose your rear end in the wrong side of these trades. Let's take a look here. Carly, welcome here as well. Jory, welcome here to the Economic Report as well. So glad to have you all here, and glad you've liked and glad you have subscribed to the channel. That means all the difference in the world to me. And of course, we can go ahead and talk Ethereum a little bit longer here. For the simple fact is there is a train of thought out there. They believe that Ethereum has the potential to take over Bitcoin, in part because of its platform, its ability to take care of transactions a little bit faster than Bitcoin. Another competitor that's out there is called Solana. That's the one that I actually own. And once again, it's not an endorsement. As a matter of fact, there are plenty of days where I have considered dumping it altogether. But hey, do you guys have deal with FOMO? I do as well. And so I'm here to say that I purchased this a while back, up about 200 bucks. So I'm not going to get rich on it. But I'm here to say that I've made a couple bucks on it. Well, let's take a look here. I'd still be up a little bit. Hey, Casso, how are you? Welcome to the Economic Report. You are awesome. Make sure you are liked and subscribed here to the channel, because people like you are the ones who make this channel happen. And that's perfect for the Economic Report. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Well, items number 2 in our story today. Once again, if you are subscribed, you're going to get my latest story here about, yes, you're going to get the story about the peanuts. I'll make sure I include this story tomorrow because you'll appreciate it. As to what happened inside Brian's house at Economic Report, we went ahead and we started doing the little things. And the little things were feeding the birds. And of course, what happens? Well, the squirrels showed up. And so we went ahead and created the peanuts. These things came out, and a couple of them are particularly friendly or particularly desperate. They'll actually eat these things out of my hands, so it's kind of a fun thing here. And I just armed myself with them because they hear my voice and sometimes they come running, so I wanted to be prepared because nothing's worse than having a squirrel break into the episode. Okay, story number 2 that we're covering deals specifically with soldiers showing up in our towns, right? And you noticed last week the President of the United States sent National Guard soldiers into Washington, D.C., in part because there is a lot of crime there, right? And people want to argue that, no, there's less crime before the President sent people in. But I think the fact is there's crime. And any crime, I believe, is a lot of crime. And particularly when you have places like, where there's a problem with homelessness, there's a problem with drugs, and problems with people getting mugged, murdered, etc. So that has been the move that they've done so far. And obviously, when you have soldiers in fatigues with weapons standing there, there's a lot less people up to monkey business out in the streets. So at least for now, there's law and order. I think the minute they leave, I think the bad guys will come out of the woodwork all over again. But I've had plenty of people telling me and writing to me, and of course, if you leave a comment on the regular channel, you can leave I'll respond to that as well. But one of the questions became, hey, when is it okay for the president to actually authorize soldiers or National Guard to be in a community? And the fact is that this has happened a number of times throughout history, and I guess you can go back to the very beginning. Our first president, George Washington, actually put down a rebellion with, you guessed it, 10,000 federal soldiers, known as the Whiskey Rebellion. And there have been times where National Guard and or federal troops have been called up. Speaking to a Vietnam vet the other day, he said that back in the 60s, he was a cook. And they said, well, you're no longer a cook. Here's a weapon. You're going to parade the streets of Baltimore because things are getting pretty crazy here with a bunch of rioting going on as well. So he kind of shared that story. And of course, with that, there's what do you do with soldiers, right? You want to make sure that there's safety. You want to make sure that there's no fighting in the streets, etc. Also, there's a show of more of like an iron-fisted approach, right? And listen, another thing that we want to pay attention to is the way these stories are being reported. Like, without a doubt, there's a considerable amount of a bias involved. And of course, what bias does, it's kind of like wearing a pair of sunglasses or glasses. Every time you look at something, you're going to see things from that perspective. If you're a pro-Trump person, you're an anti-Trump person, well, that's what happens, and how bias affects the way you think and the way you act. And of course, it most definitely affects the way things are reported as well. So it's a kind of a critical thing to be aware of, because everybody has bias in some way, shape, or form. And confirmation bias, without a doubt, is probably the strongest of the biases, because if you already had the thought, then you see things happening, well, automatically you start saying, I told you so, I knew it. And so I've had, some discussions with people, and once again, I try to remain as politically neutral as possible, but I spend more time trying to understand and less time investing my time and energy into fighting somebody's politics, because I can't defend half the people's behaviors out there, nor would I. Of course, if you are here once again, remember, you can invite other people to show up here as well. I've had probably about 150 people come through the channel, even this 15-minute show. But make sure you are liked and subscribed to the show, because it does wonders here. Once again, YouTube loves it when you do a live subscribe and a live like. So in dropping a comment, I will respond to anybody when the message comes across that you've subscribed. And of course, tomorrow you'll get another live update from me, as well as a long form video. Okay, the third thing here that we're speaking about today, and wow, the show is really is just moving right along. The third thing we're talking about today is what Jerome Powell said at Jackson Hole. Kind of a cool story as well. It was worth following, because once again, he did not make a rate decision per se, but what Powell did say is that that there was a period of time where inflation was the only thing that he was really, really concerned about. And of course, some of the tools and apparatus that we use to collect data about the United States economy gave him a reading that, well, the job market's much more soft than he understood. So with that, started signaling that there could be a softening in rates. And of course, with that, a whole bunch of other things go on with the softening of rates. It could be a lowering of the federal rate. And of course, the Fed rate lowers. It affects things like interest rates for homes, cars, credit cards, affects small business loans as well. That's part of it. And of course, it does affect our bond prices as well, because our bond prices and our credit ratings been a little bit iffy here in the United States, and maybe you can understand that as well. And if you do, then you can kind of see there's a bigger story, or maybe a story within a story, when it comes to the Fed softening its stance on the ratings, etc. So it's really worth following. Beyond that, of course, the next policy meeting takes place at September. We can probably start thinking, or at least leaning towards, a 0.25% rate cut, maybe a 0.5% cut. We don't know, at least not yet, about what's there's other information coming out of the economy, but it's worth following. And of course, I want to remind you too that if you're holding bonds and you're expecting a good interest rate inside of a bank, well, those days are going to be over sooner than later. And of course, what usually happens when rates are lowered is equities take off. We're specifically saying your pension, your 401k plans, individual stocks inside of maybe like our IRA or a Roth IRA. That's exactly what we're talking about here. So those are some other stories that you want to pay close attention to as well, because these are the things that matter, not just out of Wall Street and not just to DC politics. It matters to people like us here on Main Street. And I want to remind you that that's what this channel is all about, really cutting through the crap that's out there and bringing this down to a message on Main Street where we can really kind of resonate and make sure that people like us are getting the message. So my name is Brian here, and I want to remind you, I really do appreciate you joining me here for the Economic Report and this live. If I could share a couple of other things with you, it would be this, that number one, I want to remind you that the biggest battle that we're constantly fighting is the one between our ears, over our thoughts, our actions, and our attitude. And of course, when you have mental clarity, amazing things can happen. And with that, just remind you of one last thing here. Smile, say hi to somebody, make their day. that personal connection matters, and that's kind of what we're on about here as well. With that, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brian. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and I will catch you tomorrow about the same time, 4:45 live. With that, take care and make sure you are subscribed so you can get the long forms and short form videos